Welcome everyone to today's MIDIS ARCHI. I'm very happy that Shimada is here with us today, and we had a very wonderful jury with him yesterday and today for our semester project. I would like to quickly introduce him for those who don't know so much about him yet. Shimada is an architect in Japan, mostly works there, and his work has been mainly around private houses, but he also has done some exciting work in other areas of interior architecture and installation. His work, from my point of view, very much has a sensibility on how to use the space, how to make a quality around the condition of living and working. And it was really a pleasure to see this sensibility in his feedback that he gave to our students in the jury in the past 2 days. Yeah, I'm very curious now to hear how you present your own work and how you describe your inspirations and the way you get to the solutions that we see on your website. So thank you again for being here with us, and yeah, have a good talk now.
Thank you for inviting me. And yeah, thank you for giving me the good opportunity. I'll start. Can I start? Okay. Okay, I will start. Could you share? Yeah, okay. Can you share? Okay. The project I was participating in yesterday and today was about refugee tunnel mobile interiors. So I'll start by talking about the old refugee tunnel in Japan. Hojoki, a famous essay written in 1212, begins with the following. The following rivers never stops, and yet the water never stays the same. Foams float upon the pools, scattering, reforming, never lingering long. So it is with man and all his dwelling places here on earth. He built a 3-by-3 meter house, Hojo, as his residence. The house in this photo was later rebuilt. This house is assembled with clasps, so it could be disassembled and put on 2 dolly cars and moved. This house can be said to be a very ancestor of refugee tunnel. The house is also the ancestor of the tea house, where people wanted to entertain people like he did. Therefore, the tea house was often dismantled and moved like the Hojo. This is a copy of the famous tea house, Taian. It looks like just a poor shack, but it is a national treasure. Many copies have been made because people cannot experience the inside of the original building. Also, the tea room that Tato Fujimura built for the former prime minister is simple to build and has a movable structure. Every year, there are many projects by students rethinking about developing new tea rooms. In early modern times, H.D. Thoreau's Warden of 1845 is also well read in Japan. This is a hut for hermit life of 13 square meters. The era in which Kamachome, who built Hojo, lived included major fires and earthquakes. He wrote, there is nothing more ridiculous than spending a lot of money to build a house in Kyoto, where there are many disasters and then straining you are nervous with unnecessary worries. That's why I don't place any value on such things. Even in this BID-19 era, the life of hermit looks fascinating. In 1995, when I graduated from university, there was an earthquake in Kobe, where I was born and raised. This is a photo I took at the time. I was back in my hometown after the earthquake on January 17. When I received a call from a university in Kyoto saying that I wouldn't be able to graduate if I didn't submit my graduation work by February 14. I had been thinking about something else, but then I changed my mind and envisioned emergency evacuation house that could be built by one person for about 340 euros, using all these things sold in home improvement stores. The kind of structure that stands here is made of 30mm square lumber joined together with 3 centimeters of plywood. However, this is not a structure, it is a joint member for the corrugated sheet. The corrugated sheet are attached to these components and tension from the inside with plastic string and rods to create strength. The idea was to make the interior more habitable by laying tatami mat and hanging blankets taken from broken houses. At this time, Shirban, who would later became famous for his emergency sheltered housing, had not yet begun work on it. So there was nothing to reference for me. Somehow I managed to complete it, and it was exhibited at the museum. I painted the corrugated sheet black, but some visitors pointed out that it looked like kujiramak. Kujiramak is used for funeral ceremonies in Japan, and it is not a good omen. This was an event that taught me to be more careful about what production looks like. After that, I graduated, and now I'm here. Now I'll start with a small piece of my work that seems to be related to your work. And if time permits, I'll touch on other pieces. Let's start with this little house. The way of designing minimalist style houses is very refined. Stairs, handrails, doors, storage spaces, and so forth are made as simple elements. Beautiful spaces where you live with a few carefully selected items so as not to disturb the space. However, even in Japan, who created the Zen culture, there are people who love to have many belongings and want to live vividly with them. How can we combine the often very small urban Japanese houses with people who have many things? In this project, we looked for a way to design such a space. I designed the architectural elements such as stairs, doors, handrails, and so on, as if they were furniture. With this design approach, I create a base for misinterpretation of the architecture elements. And when the resident brings object into the space, the building elements such as stairs and storage until storage unit will become less noticeable, and the overall space will get more abstractness. The presence of stairs and storage disappears, and the composition of the space emerges. I named this situation dynamic abstractness, and you can find it in many of my projects. This looks like a cabinet, but the inside penetrates the wall, and it is much bigger than perceived. Actually, this is a water closet. This is in a way a secret room, so we are covering the interior with classic floral wallpaper. This is a staircase, but it also contains a space for the washing machine and the screens of the bathroom. Open this door, and you have a dressing room. As a result of the function becoming furniture, the architecture space is perceived as a clean, simple box containing only the floor slabs and openings. The function disappears between furniture and other belongings, and everything creates the stage with daily necessities of playful life. And in Japanese garden, the stepping stones are secret directing devices. By carefully selecting and deciding the size and arrangement of the stones, small line-up stepping stones fixed your eyes on the stones below you. When reaching a bigger stone, you tend to look up, and the view of the garden will meet you. The direction of your body is likewise guided by the arranged pattern of the stones and their inclination. In this project, we use the same logic by the way we arrange the stairs to help control the line of sight and movement in the space of this small house. And the next one, in previous project, the dynamic abstractness was only applied on the interior space, and the house structure was kept simple. In a later project, House in Toyonaka, I tried to apply the concept to the structure as well. The house achieved a wide range of qualities. A bench doubles as handrails for the stair connecting to the lower floor. A small furniture like stair leads you up to landing that connects out to a terrace deck, while to one side becoming a bathtub, and the other side a desk. Furniture placed around the architecture elements help create the spaces and rooms in the house. And next, what would happen if we mix the relationship between architecture and furniture and belongings even more? This house is designed for a family of 3 and their many belongings. It was very important for the client that the members of the family could feel close to each other, regardless of where in the house they are. They didn't want to private rooms, and they feel it is lonely to withdraw into an enclosed space. Likewise, they didn't want to storage space to tuck things away, but wanted to have them out in the open and live among them. During during our volume studies, we researched different ways of allowing the whole house to feel like one room, while creating enough space for functions, furniture, and the family's belongings. We came up with a system of floor slabs spaced 700 millimeter apart and without the need of supporting walls. Inside the 7-meter high volume 13th floor surface float, the floor slabs not only functions as ordinary floors, but also works as desks, shelves, and places to sit. The floors build up as two spirals that meet in the living room and the spreads out again going up to the rooftop desks. But using the pattern of the two spirals, we were able to create multiple passes within the house, allowing different spaces and change in the circulation. Should the daughter in the future wish to have a private room, it can be made with sliding doors. Both stairs and handrails are movable, giving the client the freedom to decide the movement so the house can adapt to accommodate changes in the client lifestyle. The spiral structure constructed by repeating a simple autonomous system is similar to an echo chamber, which amplifies the innermost lifestyle of the client and conveys sensitivity that expands without limit. The flag-shaped site is currently surrounded by apartment and parking lot. However, it is expected that a taller building will be built in the near future. We therefore had to think of a solution that would accommodate the future issue of tall building blocking the light. We therefore assumed that the only secure source of light would be from the roof and inserted the triangular terraces that bring light down through the building. Windows on the side of the buildings are placed uniformly and where they disturb the structure least possible. Actually, I thought much about how they would end up living. But since the client moved into the house, the things that the architecture and the people has become like an ensemble. Lifestyle with rich scenery expanding as if moving inside a forest. In a sense, it is a kind of a jungle made from belongingness. I look forward to see how it adjusts and develops over time. At some foreign websites, someone calls the project a cat tower. This saddened the client as they are living there very happily. And this is a movie taken by a Chinese company. It's a bit too slow. Okay, I cut this. And yeah, I've designed different houses with the same concept, but I don't have much time today, so I'll show you quickly. And about this house, main structure is wood, and some areas closed off by walls. The previous one. Unlike Miyamoto is the previous one, it becomes a more terrain or cave-like space with various light conditions. Maybe you could call it a more gentle space. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this project is remodeling, and I'd like to talk about its interiors. Now, from now, I will talk about interiors. The challenge was to relocate a movie theater to this old building, originally built as a bank. The movie theater was located in this building, originally built as a pachinko parlor, and has been in business for 15 years. One of the famous was how to move, take over, and renew the memory of the movie theater that had been loved for many years. First of all, in order to not take over the context, the existing exterior was left almost untouched, and the old parking lot was converted into a plaza, and the entrance was rotated 19 degrees. In addition to efficiently solve the problem of evacuation, an extension of the platform with a unified floor line was built. The staircase slips through a suspended metal screen. The idea was to amplify the appeal of profound urban experience that would unexpectedly draw passersby into a new world. This is a previous theater. The largest theater on the first floor had the same chairs as the old one, decorated in order to inherit the quality of the old. The floor and walls in the theater refer to the color of the old. In the front rooms, the characteristic doors here. Characteristic doors of the old building is one on display. Its red color staining the floor and columns as if it had dyed the frame. The floor of the old building was also red, so we thought we would carry on the atmosphere. In the small theater on the second floor, we were told that experimental work would be presented. So we decided to create a space with a sense of newness. Perforated corrugated stainless steel sheet looks like a drop curtain. We had this material made specifically for this project. It can look like metal, or it can look like fabric. The dark passageway leads to the two theaters. As the space narrows, it pulls you in. preparing you to focus on the cinematic experience. On the lingering return trips, just greeted by the lobby and cloudy reflection of the landscape outside. In the lobby, we combine the textures and dimensions of mundane things in off-the-shelf space in a way and that make the scenery looks like little different after watching the movie or a slightly different world in phase. At first look, the wall looks like a tile wall, but it is actually made of another material with background colors, like this. Some hundreds behind like some hundreds bend like ropes. Some is thick enough to lean on. The floor have round tiles embedded in a dot pattern. Shapes are repeated and used in various ways. In addition, the use of materials, metal surface materials, glossy paint, and many screens create a visual experience where the visitor's appearance and the ambient light mix together. A mesh created by the lighting is also a kind of screen. This metallic glow carries on the memory of the pachinko parlor. This is conscious, but the fireproof paint on the pillars gave them Godzilla-like texture. So we have the colors match. Since this movie theater is also famous for its Monster Film Festival. The logo was specially made in the image of the tape reel. The outside flyer rack is also inspired by a tape reel storage box, like this. This place is about a 15-minute walk from Kyoto station and on the way to the famous Toji Temple. So be sure to visit sometime when you are in Japan. And maybe this is the last thing and return to the housing project. This house may look like look like a refuge tunnel. This project was also low budget and made for a friend from my college days. Making good friends and connection during college is good. And someone might ask you to design house. However, it might be nice to make some rich friend to get a better budget for the design. And this is a very low cost budget house. And okay, the site is located on a hill with a good view. Concrete retaining wall lies on the back and slightly old townscape spread out below the side. The simple way to approaching the project would be to spread out a big terrace like this on the upper floor and block the line of site from below the site and only open the house toward the present view. I, however, felt that this approach was unnatural and would not fit to the current lifestyle. When we as architects gives a building a certain form, shows our criticism of the surroundings. That is a wonderful view. I don't want to see your house, the retaining walls is ugly, and so on. I wish to create a project that would not express that kind of prejudice to the surroundings. You know, so I made the ground floor totally glass walls to make it feel like a public area in the house. On the upper floor, I distributed the windows evenly and surrounded the entire floor with even terrace. The terrace helped blocking out the direct sunlight in summer. And in winter, the concrete floor will absorb and retain heat from the daytime. There is a floor heating system to assist during cold or cloudy days. Unfortunately, there is the only way to access this site by stairs. So I have to build a temporary slope. The foundation area is designed so it could be dug out manually. And all building materials as elements had to be carried and built by hand. Everything was calculated so that each component would weigh less than 100 kilo. This process is almost seemed like festival. The electric lines, water and drain pipes were installed in the low structure. Nothing was concealed. Just 4.5 millimeter thick steel plates were used for the horizontal plate that act as terrace. Inside the house, the deck plate are only 75 millimeter in height. It became a lightweight and low-priced structure. I know this can be a taboo in residential design. However, I choose to make almost no storage spaces, forcing the resident to scatter all of his possessions and around the house. I made only one storage room on the upper floor, screened by glass covered with optical film. This made the things inside look like a kind of black pattern, while also being reflected in the film, giving them an even larger appearance. All the client belongings, the simple structure, and the surrounding greenery, the view of the town and the sea and experience equally and without prejudice in this house. And yeah, I have little time, and yeah, I can explain about another project about blending. And this is a project of hotels. Whenever I design a new building, I think about making something that will lead to the discovery of the town's unique charms. Not far from the center of the city, and the site of this hotel favored by many artists and others who are attracted by the somewhat rustic and free ambience, is located in a neighborhood with a diverse and pleasant atmosphere. The proprietor who fell in love with the area and an artist friend of his came up with the initial plan for the hotel. However, after purchasing the land, it proved difficult to raise the finances to erect a new building, bringing the project to a standstill. In such a situation, a local real estate firm, which was involved in looking for land, suggested that it constructed a building on the property that could be rented by the proprietor and used as a hotel. Inspired by this plan, the firm anticipated that the hotel would lead people to rediscover the neighborhood. To reflect this corporate structure, we started by creating an all-purpose frame structure in which we created the hotel. The concrete structure was made using repurposed formwork to give the structure a rough surface and expression in order to relate better to the area. Casting one floor at the time, we could reuse the formwork for each floor. When looking at the building, it is difficult to tell when it was made. This versatile framework was filled with furniture made out of aluminum paring studs and jack-up hardware used parts from clip lamps made for construction site for a variety of holders. The hotel was completed with bricolage of whatever happened to be available. We thought that this would make these contrivances cobbled together out of various things made by local elder people and artists. And the accumulation of living intelligence in the neighborhood seems even more brilliant. We limited the floor height on the first floor to create the feeling of an integrated space stretching up to the corridor on the second floor via the foyer. We also installed a shared kitchen with a large table. The artist who at the time was using part of on the hotel as his base anticipated that the design created by our friend at Dot Architects and self-built heart would lead to building with closer ties to the neighborhood. Since the real estate firm also owned the private road in front of the hotel and hut, we were able to make it part of the project. Using bricks that had been unearthed in the process of digging up the site to straddle and pave the site and the road. We attempted to blur the boundary line and create an open atmosphere toward the town. It is an inexpensive accommodation located in Osaka to center of Western Japan. Please visit when you come to Japan. Okay, I think I have 40 minutes and please start question and answer time. Simon?
Yes, thank you so much, Yoshimada, for this.
Sorry,
Can you hear me?
I can't hear.
Can you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for this brilliant lecture. I think it was extremely inspiring, and it was especially nice that you related the projects that you selected to our project. So I would start giving the opportunity to the students first to ask questions. So if you want to unmute yourself to ask a question to Yoshimada directly, please go ahead to use the opportunity.
Hello.
Hello.
I would like to know a little bit more about the structure you used for the different landing constructions with the staircases, the small staircases, because you used like everything you did is based on the structure, I guess, and like you didn't use any concrete or well, in one project you use more the wood than the structure, like the metallic structure. Could you tell a little bit more about the structure she used for the landings?
Okay, and just a moment, we'll show you. Please, ちょか、画面を共有したいんだけど、画面を共有したいので、サイモンに。
Simon, can you allow us to share our screen?
Yes, of course. I put you back as a host.
Okay, about this project. ここまでは、スチール支えられてて、ここまでは上から吊られている。だからここには何もこうない。で、すべては、スチールでできてて、コンクリートはベースメントだけです。
So for this house, the main frame is made in steel, and only the foundation is made in concrete. And from below, some of the floor slabs is supported by a steel beam. However, in the center, there is no support at all, and all the slabs above is supported by a steel wire that comes from the steel frame of the roof. So you get this centered part that is completely open and free, whereas the structure is like supported from above and below.
Yeah.
Of this whole steel frame of the square house.
Still rod, still not steel wire. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
like in the other project, you didn't use steel, or did you? It's wood or it's steel in the other project?
In the other project, everything of the structure is in wood.
Ah, yeah. Okay, yeah. So here you use the steel, but then in the other you use the wood.
Yeah.
Mm. I had a question.
Yes.
You used, thank you for the lecture, it was really nice, really inspiring actually. Right in the beginning, you used a quote about water, and for me at least,
the architecture that you've designed is very complementary to water because it felt really light and it felt like spaces were floating. So it was really nice to see how solid and the flotation can, merge, because it's very difficult for me, at least, to sort of combine those two things. So it's really nice to see your projects. But my question is, I didn't see any water or any use of water in any of the designs, or I'm just curious if you do work with water or incorporate it in any way in your designs.
なんか最初のなんか本からってのはなんかミスのミスは入ってるんだけど、プロジェクトはミスは入ってないんです。
そうそうね。
まあミスを使ってるのプロジェクトはないんですよ。
まあ彼の本をこう出したのはどちらかというと、こう彼の北条、その小さいこう小さなものに対するこう愛みたいななんかものを示したかった。そういうこうすごく全カルチャーのベースの元にあるような考え方を示したかったというところ。だから水はあんま関係ない。
Like for this small section of the novel or poem in the beginning, the reference of water is more the reference of how things change and doesn't stay the same. So in our project so far, we hadn't had the chance. Like working with water is often pretty expensive. There's not a lot of space in Japan, so we haven't had the chance to work a lot with water. But in this case, the poem mentioning water and our work with water is not connected. It's more a metaphor for how we see and understand architecture.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hi, hello. Hello. I have a quick question about the mess, the organization and disorganization somehow. And are you dress up a list before you do a project with your client who has a lot of objects, as we saw in some houses? Are you dress up sort of an inventory of all the objects that they have? Because it seems sometimes that the mess is kind of poetic when somehow, if I look at in our house, it's not always the same. So how you deal with that in your case and with your client?
多分私のなんかプロジェクトを始めるとか、なんかクライアントは何のものを持ってる例えばね。で、私はそのものをどこに行くとかってはどのくらい決める？
実際そんなに細かく計算はしない。というのはクライアントのなんていうか、ものも変わっていくので、ただどういうものが好きかとか、なんかどれぐらいのものを持ってるかっていうのは計算するけれども、その細かくこれをどこにっていうのはこっちが決めるというよりは、そういうことが可能なようにこう計算している。
When we meet with our clients, both in the beginning and while we are doing the projects, we of course talk a lot with them about their likes and dislikes and how they are living now and how they want to live. Normally we ask them if they have like any big parts of furniture that has special meaning to them that they definitely want to have and keep in the project, but we don't really register what they have of all the smaller things. So it's a lot about talking to the client, and like we don't register everything or take pictures of all their things and say, like, you should put this here and you should put the vase here and the flowers here. We mainly make it a free space for people to move into. And then, of course, if they have a big dining table, we will make sure that the big dining table from their grandmother can fit into the dining space. But other than that, we don't really tell the clients how to live or how to put their things.
Okay, thank you.
The question would have been very similar to the one that Yuri just asked, more but in the time after. So I'm curious, because your places seem rather unconventional, so they don't have so many normal archetypes of like a square room where the door is here and the window is there and you put the bed in between, like this normal ways. So when the clients move in and they start to inhabit the space with their belongings, is there a process of you participating with them, or they just do it in one go and then they just, you know, they never ask for your support? Or is there some sort of exchange of knowledge and emotion about it, so you can also learn from their approach on what you thought before? So it's a bit like the process afterwards, let's say, that I'm curious on how you experience it with your projects.
なんていうか、まあ当然彼らは僕に聞いたりはしないでフリーにやってもらうんだけど、まあその聞かれたら答えるけども、で、なんていうか僕はそのクライアントの暮らしに対する美意識をすごく信じていて、いつも最初はびっくりするようなことになったりする。でもそれがまあ例えば1ヶ月もすると、なんというか全員がいい場所を彼らの病院がいい場所を見つけて、なんかすごくこう整ってくる。僕はその瞬間が実は好きで、なんかだからあんまりその厳密にこう僕がというよりは彼らのこう美意識によって変わっていくのがすごくいいと思って。
So when while we are developing our projects, when we do presentations to the clients, we do a lot of model work. We normally present to the clients in 1 to 30, so it's a quite big scale, where we also put in like the larger furniture such as dining tables and beds. So the clients have a general idea of the layout of the house, and because everything is so small and tight, often like the room's general function, or like where we are imagining and explaining to the client where the children's room will be, or like kitchen area, bedroom, bathroom, there's not like sometimes in Europe we have a lot of extra spare rooms. We have a extra kids room and an extra office room, and like we have a lot of rooms that is not actually needed, whereas here it's a little more compact. So when we explain to our clients about our ideas and the architecture we are making, we are of course very aware of talking to them about how they will be able to live in the house. And often when they move in the beginning, it can be a little bit of a shock, because like everything is a little different, and it's not really spaces you're used to, but it is spaces that we have explained a lot about, both in model, but we also use VR sometimes for the clients to really understand the space that we are creating. And then like when they move in, they have a lot of stuff and they need to pack out, and about after a month or something, they will start to settle down in their environment. And sometimes we have the opportunity to do photo shoots at these times also, or come to visit because there was a small shelf we didn't put up yet, or we changed a few things. And then we can see how the clients have moved in and how they're using the spaces. And this is also extremely interesting for us to see how sometimes like we imagine the bed here, but they have moved it a little bit around, or the possibilities and the development in the architecture after people actually move in and use it is also extremely interesting to us. If people use it as we imagined, and often it works very nicely.
So if there is any more questions, please come forward now before we close the presentation. Okay, so I will give a last thank you to both of you for being such kind guests of our jury, as much as we enjoyed this talk. So it was a big pleasure to have you, and good luck with your upcoming or running projects. And yeah, if we or any of us will be in Japan, we'll definitely try to see some of your work, or maybe even meet in person. So thank you for accepting our invitation, and all the best from us. We'll keep you informed about the results of our project. So we'll be in touch again.
It would be great.
Yeah. Thank you for your patience with my long, vast pronunciation. But yeah, it is a good opportunity for me.
Okay, so I say have a good evening for you, and have a nice afternoon for us. So my students, we meet at 3 o'clock. I'll set up a new Zoom meeting for you. So I'll get in touch later. Thank you everyone for coming to see this lecture, and yeah, good luck with your projects, and speak soon.
Thank you.
Bye, Shimada.
Bye. Bye, everyone.